Hi everyone, today we are going to see the fourth supplementary reader, The Cat and the Painkiller, and it was written by Mark Twain and it's an extract from the adventure of Tom Sawyer. It's a very interesting story. Hope you will enjoy the story. A note about the novel. Before entering into our story of The Cat and the Painkiller, we are going to see in general the adventure of Tom Sawyer. In other words, we can say it as a short introduction before getting into the story. The story which we are going to see is taken from the novel The Adventure of Tom Sawyer. And that novel has a young boy, and the boy name was Tom Sawyer. He was growing up along the Mississippi River. You can see the Mississippi River here. This is Mississippi River and this is Mississippi River in the map. And especially rightly in this place of St. Petersburg. St. Petersburg is a city in Russia. Then the next thing, Tom Sawyer lives with his Aunt Polly and his brother Sid. So he have a brother and his name was Sid. Tom Sawyer was a mischievous boy. In short, we can say Tom Sawyer is known for his naughtiness. Then he was very clever in escaping the punishments which are given to him. Though he was naughty, he cleverly escapes from all those punishments. He finds his school life miserable. So like us, he also doesn't like school and he finds it miserable. Then the next thing, he have a good friend named Becky Thatcher. So this was Becky Thatcher and her arrival given him happiness. She was a good friend to him and they were happy together. Suddenly, she falls ill and had not come to the school for a long time. This makes our hero Tom Sawyer unhappy. Our hero Tom Sawyer was bored of school and he and his best friends had planned a new thing. So what was that? His friend Joe Harper and Huck runs away to an island. So the name of the island was Jackson's Island. It is in the Mississippi and they became pirates. Pirate means the person one who robs in the ship. In another words, we can say pirate means a person who attacks and robs ships at sea. Unexpectedly, the people in the home of Joe Harper, Huck and Tom thought that three of them were dead. But to a pleasant shock, three of them appeared in their own funeral itself. It was really a shocking incident for all those persons. This story, The Cat and the Painkiller, is one of the episodes in the novel of Tom Sawyer, and here we can see Tom was playing prank on his Aunt Polly. The word prank means a practical joke or mischievous act. Here, Tom was good in playing pranks on his Aunt Polly. Aunt Polly loves Tom very much, but she won't show it outside in order to make Tom as a good boy. Now we are going to see The Cat and the Painkiller extract. So what is the extract? So extract means removing or taking out something, especially by effort or force. So here you can see we squeeze the orange to take the juicy part of that. So like that, here also we had taken the things which we are needed. In other words, we can also say it as a extract means a short passage taken from a text or a short form of some story. So here also the whole story was extracted or taken out in a short form. So that we are going to see here. Here in this story, the Tom Sawyer is going to play pranks on the Peter. The Peter is the name of the cat which he have. Now let us enter into the story part. The story begins by introducing the Becky Thatcher. Becky Thatcher was his friend and she stopped coming to school. This disturbed Tom very much. Tom was unhappy and he lost the charm in his life. Here, charm means happiness, and he felt really boring to be in the school. He put all his hoop and bat away. Here, it means he kept away all his playthings and he was not like usual. And this was troubling Aunt Polly. Aunt Polly was concerning this, and she understood that he was not in joy anymore. In this stanza, we can able to understand that Tom Sawyer was not usual and he was not happy also. This was concerned by Aunt Polly, and Aunt Polly was giving many new methods of medicines to recover him from his sadness, and she was an incurable experimenter, it says. That means she was trying many new methods to recover him from his sadness, to take away from his sadness. And Polly had tried all manners of remedies on Tom. That means he tried the new method, the water treatment with Tom, and that was unexpected. Here, windfall means unexpected, unexpected to Aunt Polly. Aunt Polly, had sent him in to stand under the daylight every morning. You can see the daylight here. Every morning he have to stand in the woodshed, and after that he drowned him in cold water. Then she rubbed him in hot towel like a file. Then he rolled him up in a wet sheet and put him under the blanket. So this made Tom to get really tired. Yet, notwithstanding all this, the boy grew more and more sad and pale and dejected. That means he can't able to tolerate all those things. Already he was sad, now he became very, very sad. She added hot baths, sitz bath, shower bath, and pledges. Here, Aunt Polly made Tom to bath in hot water. You can see the picture of a hot water bath. Then the next thing is sitz bath. Here, this is a sitz bath, sitting in a tub and bathing, and also shower bath. You might have all know this, what is shower bath. Then plunges. Plunges means jump or dive quickly and energetically. In other words, we can also add it up or push someone into water. We ourselves jump, or we can also push someone into that. That is the plunges. So he was given all these treatment to recover himself from the sadness. But Tom remained bored, and he was never recovered. He was not recovered from that, and including that he was given a slim oatmeal diet and blister plasters. So these are the things that was given to Tom. Here, Aunt Polly was trying many new methods, and she was considering herself as a doctor. Here the term quack means pretending. So she was pretending herself as a doctor, and she was trying many new methods to recover Tom from his sadness. But he became very sad. Tom Sawyer thought of various plans to recover from the treatment given by the Aunt Polly, and he was trying many things to recover from that. Finally, he got a plan of taking the painkiller, and he was often asking that painkiller to Aunt Polly. So Aunt Polly ended by telling him to take it by himself, that is to help himself, and she doesn't want herself to bother about it again. So she said, you can take it by yourself, you no need to ask me. So she found that that medicine was really diminishing. That means it started reducing. Aunt Polly was thinking that
Tom was eating the painkiller, but this boy, the Tom, was using that painkiller for mending the cracked floor. Here, the word mending means repairing. Actually, Tom was taking all those painkiller and he was putting inside this cracked floor, and he was trying to repair the floor by covering it up. So one day, by seeing Tom was eating the painkiller, Peter the cat was showing interest to eat that painkiller. So Peter came along purring. Purring means a typical sound made by cat, and eyeing the teaspoon greedily. That means it was showing a high significance of eating that greedily, and it was also begging for taste. So it was like asking, please give me a spoon of painkiller. Like that, it was showing a sign. So Tom said, don't ask for it unless you want, Peter. So Tom was again in warning. So you should not ask that. Unless you want, you don't ask. But Peter signified that he did want it. So Peter again and again giving a signal through his face reaction that it wanted again. You better make sure. Tom was again saying, you better make sure, because it won't be tasty. He doesn't say that, but he was again saying, you better make sure. He was saying that. But Peter, the little cat, was again showing a strong significance that it want to eat that painkiller. But Peter was again and again saying, you must be sure to eat that. And also he was saying, you must not blame anybody else other than you if you eat that, because you are taking your own risk and you should blame yourself. If something happened to you, you should not blame anybody else. He was again and again saying. But Peter was agreeable. That means it was again showing a strong significance to eat that painkiller. So Tom opened his mouth and poured down the painkiller into its mouth. Peter sprang a couple of yards in the air and then delivered a war whoop and set off round and round the room, banging against the furniture, upping flower parts and making general confusion. In this passage, we can see the expression and activity which happens after eating the painkiller. The cat behaved in a very typical manner and in a funny manner. Really, it was cherishing and funny to read that passage. So, after eating that, the Peter sprang a couple of yards. That means it jumped a couple of yards. Yards here 3 feet. 1 yard is equal to 3 feet. So it jumped a couple of yards, jumped very highly in the air, and then it delivered a war whoop. Here war whoop means a terrific war cry. So it was crying and it was setting round and round the room. It was rounding the room again and again. And it was banging against, hitting against all the furniture over there. And it was upsetting the flower pots. It was turning all the flower pots around. And it makes a general confusion over there. Next, he arose on his hind feet, that is the backside feet, and danced around in a frenzy of enjoyment. Now it started dancing. And initially it made a cry. Then it started a frenzy of enjoyment, that it started dancing with his head over his shoulder and his voice proclaiming his happiness. Then he went cheering round the house, again spreading a chaos and destruction to his path. So now it went around the house again and again. So it destroyed all the things here and there. Now Aunt Polly entered in time to see throw off few double somersaults. So this is small somersault. Here the word somersaults means the cat, it turns its head over his heels in the air. Finally, the cat left the place by carrying flower pots with him. The old lady, Aunt Polly, was watching all these things and she was petrified. Here the word petrified means she was really shocked to see this incident. The word astonishment was used here. It means again Aunt Polly was shocked and surprised to see the cat behavior, and Tom was lying over there and he was laughing by seeing the incident. Tom, what on earth ails that cat? I don't know, Aunt, gasped the boy. Why, I never see anything like it. What did make him act so? Did I don't know, Aunt Polly. Cats always act so when they are having good time. Here the word hails means trouble. And Polly was asking what was the trouble really the cat had to behave in such a manner. But Tom was pretending that he don't know anything, and he was answering, "I don't know, Aunt." And she was also adding up, "I had never seen cat live with such behavior." So something happened. And Polly was again asking what made the cat to behave in such a manner. Here the Tom was lying to Aunt and he was saying cat always act like that when it have a good time. If it feels good, it will always act like that. Again and again, Aunt Polly was again asking, again and again he was saying, so something she can able to understand that something was wrong with the Tom, and she can also able to sense that the tone of the Tom was something frightened. Here the word apprehensive means frightened, and he also keep on saying that I believe that when the cat was happy, it will behave in such a manner. The old lady bent down and took the teaspoon, and this teaspoon was used by Tom to feed the cat, and he was giving the painkiller to the cat. So finally, Tom was caught very nicely by Aunt Polly, and Aunt Polly was catching him with his usual handle. That is, she catched his ear, and she was raising him and they cracked his head soundly with her thimble. This is the thimble, and she was beating him nicely with the thimble. Finally, Aunt Polly catched Tom nicely and she started questioning. Why you treated this poor dumb beast so far? She was asking. Here, dumb means voiceless beast in such a manner. But here Tom was answering in a very clever manner, and he was saying, I done it out of pity for him. Here the word pity means compassion. Tom was saying he had done everything out of compassion on the cat. He also saying the cat that doesn't have any aunt to take care like Aunt Polly. So he had taken care like aunt. But here what happened? That Anne started scolding him as you numbskull. Here the word numbskull means fool. What has God to do that with it? So why he had done like that? That Anne was asking question to this Tom. In these words, we can see that Tom was making Aunt Polly to realize her mistake. He was answering, if the cat had a aunt like Aunt Polly, she would have she would have burnt him well in the bowl. So this made Aunt Polly to feel the pain of Tom. She felt really bad. She regret for that. That means she felt sorry about her attitude, and this made her to realize the mistake which she was doing to Tom. And she also thought what was cruelty to a cat might be a cruelty to a boy too. She began to speak everything with her, and she felt very sad for her attitude to Tom, and her eyes started watering a little, and she put her hand on the Tom's head. In this passage, Aunt Polly was trying to speak to Tom in a very gentle manner, and she was saying, I was meaning for the best to you, Tom, but went off in a wrong manner, like this she was coming to say. And Tom was also replying again in a gentle manner, if you was good to me, if you are very best to me, and I was also behaving the best to Peter. I had never seen him aroused like that. He was replying in a very gentle manner. And this made Aunt Polly to reply that, oh, long with you. You no need to take any medicines. Hereafter, even if you are good or bad, you no need to take any more medicines. Before you annoy me, let me stop all these things, like that she was saying. This is the end of the story. So these were the two themes of the story. So the first one is too much of care. From the beginning till the end, we can notice that Tom was cared very highly by his Aunt Polly, and this started hurting him. Because of so much of love, this Aunt Polly made our Tom to let into the trouble. In order to make her to learn the lesson, so the Tom taught her a nice lesson using the cat called Peter. So finally, that Aunt Polly can able to understand the feeling of the Tom. The second theme is hidden love. Though Aunt Polly was troubling Tom from the beginning till the end, she was deeply in love with Tom. She was deeply having a care and love and affection for Tom, so that she was caring in very high manner, and she was taking all effort to recover him from his sadness. Now I am going to say about the author of the story. The Samuel Langhorne Clemens was author of the story. This Clemens was born on 1835 and he died on 1910, and he was popularly known as Mark Twain, and he was an American writer, humorist, entrepreneur, publisher and lecturer. American writer, he belongs to America and he was a writer there, so he was called as American writer. Humorist, that means he was known for the sense of humor. He always write everything in with the humor. The entrepreneur means a good business magnate. Then he was a publisher. He published many works, so he was called as a publisher. Then he was also a lecturer. He worked in college as a lecturer, so he was called as a lecturer. Then Twain was raised in Hannibal, Missouri, which later provided the setting for his novels. So settings means the background, the environment, everything. The Hannibal, so he was raised, he was born and brought up there. So it provided all the his novels. He used the settings. He used the Missouri as his settings. That means the background of this, all these novels have the place called Missouri. Two of his works were very famous. The first one was The Adventure of Tom Sawyer,